Welcome to another edition of the NCHC podcast. My name is Paul Gilmore, and joining me today is a very special guest in the world of homeschool basketball, and her name is Lilly Williams. She is a player for the HEA Firebirds out of Michigan, and she's joining us today on the podcast to talk about just the most recent season and the one coming up and things outside of basketball as well. So, Lilly, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing well. Your mom was letting me know that you're at an undisclosed location playing a basketball tournament currently. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, we're playing in Pennsylvania right now actually. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And so I know obviously within homeschool you're playing for HEA, but the team that you're on currently is a select club. Is that correct? Or
Yeah.
is it...
Or I don't really know. I think it's like summer ball kind of thing, but we're in something called the Select 40. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Um, is that like a national tournament or more
Yeah, I
local?
mean something close to that, yeah, I'd say.
Okay. So I imagine that there's just a lot of basketball happening all the time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Do you ever feel yourself getting a break from that?
I mean in between tournaments I'll probably have like a week of break, but I mean I'll probably go and shoot or go do something in between just to stay in shape. But yeah.
So even when there's a break, there's not really a break, is what you're saying.
No, but hey, I'll get bored. I'll miss basketball if I don't go do it. So,
Fair enough. Yeah, and you might as well enjoy it while you can.
oh yeah.
Again, you got a lot of basketball ahead of you, but I think it's a
Yeah,
good mentality to have to just love it while you're doing it. So
for
I
sure.
like
Yeah.
that as well. And speaking of that, back in March when we were at the homeschool national tournament, you and your Firebirds teammates had a incredibly deep run, and some of the other broadcasters and I were noting that it seemed like you guys just kind of burst onto the scene. And so going into that nationals, what was the feeling with the team, and what was kind of, I mean, obviously everybody wants to do well and they want to win, but going into that week, what did you guys think was likely going to happen versus how it actually played out?
I mean, we came in thinking we were gonna do pretty good. I mean, we ended strong with regionals, obviously, because we won, and then we came second in states. But I mean, we were pretty confident that we could make it all the way to the end and win the whole thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, was it? I don't want to say unexpected, but when you finally got to that stage where you're playing for an undisputed national championship, what was the vibe with the ladies, and how was it going into that final game?
I mean, we were all pretty nervous, obviously, but it was definitely a great experience just to be able to get to that point. I mean, we were pretty excited and everything, but yeah.
And then coming off of that particular game, could imagine there's obviously disappointment in not being able to accomplish the mission that you had set out, but to have that level of success almost on kind of like the first time coming through. At least, the first time that I can remember HEA as a program kind of making a deep run like that. So thinking about going into this upcoming season, what is the mentality? What is the mindset for you and your teammates as far as, like I'm assuming the goal is to get over the hump and try to win it all. But how do you do that going into this next season?
I mean, definitely something that my parents and coaches also have taught us is that to be a good team, we need to be unified. So, I mean, just to be able to come together as a team and play as one is definitely something that is always something we could work on. And I mean, definitely just coming back and after losing that game, hey, we have something to come back for and be ready to win next time. So that's some good motivation as well. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe a good chunk of the team is coming back again next year. Is that correct?
Yeah, most of them, I think. I mean, we had three who graduated, so yeah. But other than them, I'm pretty sure most of them are coming back. Yeah.
So I couldn't go too far into the podcast without mentioning that there seems to be a growing list of programs that are showing a lot of interest in you, which is really exciting. But what's even more interesting is to me to see the caliber of programs that are continuing. Like I feel like every time I go on Twitter, you're posting another post about another program that's offered you, and this program offered me, which is exciting. And just for anybody that's watching or listening, That program currently includes schools such as Wisconsin, Michigan State, Northwestern, Iowa, Boston College, Dayton, Providence. Just the list just goes on. And I'm sure by the time we finish this podcast, there'll be 3 or 4 more schools that have offered you as well. What has that process been like, going from the recruiting to the visits and all the stuff that's going on currently with the college stuff?
I mean, it's definitely been exciting, also exhausting, humbling, and sometimes a little overwhelming. But I mean, it's definitely just a great experience for me, just as a person, to be able to grow and talk to these people and coaches that I've never met before, and just to express myself as who I am, right? I mean, definitely one of my, I'd say like one of the best parts about talking to these coaches is just getting like compliments from these coaches who know basketball and who have made it to national championship games, and they're complimenting me on my game. So, I mean, that's just pretty cool to me just to hear that from them. And then also, I mean, one part that is a little hard about it that I'm kind of dreading a little bit is just talking to these coaches and making great relationships with them, making new friends. And then, I mean, at the end, you have to pick one school, obviously. So, I mean, just to be able to tell these schools no. So, as I come farther along in this recruiting journey, I mean, um, yeah, it's just going to be a hard choice, obviously.
And another unspoken piece of that as well is that you're still only coming up into your sophomore year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so this is typically a decision that a lot of ladies have to make in their senior year, or
Yeah.
the summer after their senior year. And you're, what, 15 years old, and you're
Yeah.
visiting some of the top programs in the country, which is, an incredible thing. And I think, like you mentioned, it can be a lot to go through that, but then realize, well, I still also have a couple more years of going through this
Yeah.
as well. But again, I think a great problem to have. A lot of people would love to have that same opportunity, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
exciting to see you continue to grow, and for these programs just to recognize, okay, like this is a special talent. We need to make sure and build that relationship. So hopefully those
Yeah.
continue to go well, and you continue to build those great relationships until you find the right one.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have to let you know that my first impression of you was, I walk this past nationals. I walk into the Baptist Bible College on Sunday. I had just driven in from Houston, and I run into the tournament director Rob, and he tells me, once the 3-point contest is over, there's going to be the dunk contest. And I said, okay, well, I'll stick around for that. And he wanted me to be a judge, which I never understood because I've never dunked in my life. So how can I judge people that dunk? But I noticed that when they finish, they have the 3-point contest. They have people starting to warm up for their dunks. And I didn't know who you were, didn't know your name, didn't know anything about you, but you were over on the side talking to some of the guys, and then all of a sudden you started warming up in the line with the guys, and I said, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." And Rob goes, "Yeah, that's Lilly Williams. She's out of HEA, and she's going to be one of our participants." And I just thought that was the coolest thing. And then I learned, oh, by the way, she's like 14, just turned 15. I was like, oh, okay, that's equally interesting. And then some other guy, I think from Aggie Land, comes over and he's like, oh, yeah, she's already getting offers for, or, getting looks from these Big 12 schools and Big 10 schools. And I was like, okay, now my interest is definitely piqued. So it was really cool to see you participate in the dunk contest and, make it to the finals, and, see all of that happened. What was it like going through that experience of a dunk contest against everybody?
I mean, that was kind of the first thing I've ever come close to with any kind of contest like that entering. And so, I mean, I was pretty nervous, I'm not gonna lie. I felt like I was like my knees were shaking. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's all these people watching. Um, but I mean, I thought it was really good. I mean, all the guys were super excited and supporting me in it. So, I mean, that was also nice. And I mean, I was just kind of excited to just be a part of that.
So are you officially throwing your hat into the ring for next year's dunk contest?
But
Be even more loaded up and prepared this time.
hey, I'm gonna have an actual basketball this time.
There you go. Well, and speaking of
But
dunk contests, if I'm not mistaken, well, I know your mom is the coach of your team, and if I'm not mistaken, your dad is an assistant coach on the team.
yes,
Okay, so in my research, they both also played college basketball. Is that correct?
My mom didn't, just my dad.
Okay. But I seem to have heard that your dad also took some pride in his dunking ability. Is that correct?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So do you guys ever, like, in the backyard, have your own, like, dunk off or dunk contest? And if so, who's winning those dunk contests?
Well, we haven't done a dunk contest yet because I haven't been able to throw it down yet. But we actually have a funny story with that. So when we were younger, we used to do these things like our parents they'd want us to do something and they'd challenge us with it by like giving us $1. So they'd be like, I give you $1 challenge if you can do a flip on the trampoline or if you can swim across the swimming pool. And so one day, it was me and my two sisters. We were outside, and my dad was out there with us, and we were on like our court. And he has a new challenge for us, and he's like, I will give you $1,000 if you can dunk. And so we were all excited. So we run in and go tell our mom. We're like, Mom, Dad said he'll give us $1,000 if we can dunk the basketball. And Mom's like, what happened to $1? Right? And my dad's like, if they can dunk, they're going to be able to go wherever they want to college for free. And so ever since he said that, since I was, what, 10 years ago, I've been practicing and working hard on it. Now his rules are a little different, so I haven't gotten it yet, but I've been putting in the work, and hopefully when we do the dunk contests, I'm going to make him pay for it. So,
There you go. So we're holding him to that.
oh
As a
yeah.
matter of fact, we're going to bring him onto a broadcast, and I want you to try and do an in-game dunk so he can pay you as soon as the game is over.
I like that.
Well, and your mom, Kristen, she's also your head coach. So when you're at home, are you guys like watching film, breaking down strategy, and talking basketball, or is it more just like family time is family time?
I mean, definitely in season, there are coaches and stuff, and ever since 12U, since we started doing homeschool basketball, I mean, they've been the coach, and we watched close to almost every single game and did stats on them and everything. Um, I mean, we watched the good and bad, but they'll always watch the bad parts and replay it over and over. They'll do it in slow motion. And one thing I probably watched one too many times to count is like, I'll get a rebound and I'll bring it down to like my stomach, and these people will tie it up, and then I end up getting a turnover or something like that. So they're always like, keep the ball high. And then also, we'll watch the good parts over and over. It's like if I get a block off of the backboard and he grabbed the rebound, I mean, we'll watch that a bunch of times. But I thought it's been really good. I mean, I love watching film with them, and something I've learned from it definitely too. It's just like the I'm forgetting the word of it. Efficiency. You learn from that. So even if you have a bad shooting game when you're not making any points, you can still be an asset to your team by like getting steals, rebounds, blocks, or assists and stuff. So I mean, that's just been a big takeaway for me from doing this with my family.
I would agree. And one thing that I thought was pretty amazing to witness as well is at nationals, we don't have like an official statistician. We kind of try to keep track of points and rebounds.
Yeah.
But if I were to go back and watch all the games that we were broadcasting of HEA, and if I were to count the number of blocks, I think a lot of people would be surprised. And I think a lot of players were surprised at the blocks that you were able to get just out of nowhere. I mean, they would go for what would be a regular layup or a floater or shot attempt, and all of a sudden it's out of bounds.
Yeah.
And so I think the length is something that people were really surprised about. Is that something that you practice, or is that kind of just instinctual using your length?
Um, I do remember one day we were with my dad, we were in some random gym, and he kind of gave us a lesson of how to block shots and stuff. And he's like, which arm to use, how to like watch their feet and like do all that. But I don't know, I kind of figured it out as I went, I'd say. And as the years went on and I started playing these teams older than me, I just got better at it. And now it feels like something that's natural. I'm just able to, I don't know, follow their shot and know when they're about to shoot it and just tell with the steps they take and stuff. But yeah.
So within the homeschool world, there are certain players that have come out throughout the years, like Mariah Jefferson, Justin Jackson, players that have played at a really high level and at the next level. And while they were playing, there was kind of this idea that within the homeschool world, they were considered homeschool superstars, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And at this past nationals, and I'm sure before that at regionals and wherever else you were playing, I think was this kind of emerging idea that this young lady is a superstar within the homeschool world. So when you hear that label, I guess, or that title of a superstar, is that something that you kind of push back against, or you just kind of embrace it and you're like, you know what, I'm going to try and be the best that I can, and if that makes me a superstar, then so be it.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say it's a little bit of both because I mean, I don't want to take all of the credit because the things I do, I can't do without my teammates, obviously. I mean, I need a point guard like Emma on my team to be able to push it up the floor
And she was
and control
also,
the
I
game.
believe, an All American, also, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I need other people like my sister Hannah or Gabby, Grace, Sue, Katie, Lila. I mean, any of them, obviously, to be able to feed it into the post or for me to be able to kick it out to them when I'm double or triple teamed. But I mean, yeah, with all that I'm good at, I mean, obviously, I need my teammates to be able to help. So it's definitely something that I'd want to share with them as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
So between the homeschool season with HEA and your summer ball or select club, all the different basketball that you're happening, I'm sure, like we mentioned earlier, that you're just kind of living and breathing basketball all the time. So in terms of things outside of basketball, like for Lilly Williams, the young lady outside of basketball, what are things that you enjoy? What are some other hobbies you have outside of sports?
I mean, one thing I do always say is, I mean, I taught myself how to play the ukulele and guitar and stuff. So, I've gotten pretty good at it. So I usually find myself doing that in my downtime, or I also know how to play the piano. So that's pretty fun. But also, I mean, we're always busy with stuff. We'll always have people over and we'll just have parties and we'll have fires going. We'll play spike ball. I mean, spike ball is a big thing. We'll
Love
always
spike
get
ball.
tournaments going and
Love
oh
spike
yeah.
ball. Yeah, we'll have to do some of that at nationals. We'll have to do an
Yes.
unofficial spike
Yeah.
ball tournament.
Oh yeah. We brought it 2 years ago and we just didn't start the tournament out great. And so we're like, we can just go and have fun and everything. And we
Hmm.
did. We probably played like 4 or 5 hours of spike ball every day.
So it wasn't a national tournament; it was a spike ball tournament
Oh
with
yeah.
some basketball on the side.
Just a little.
Okay, last question. So going into next year, um, what would you say is one of the top things that you're looking at improving going into this upcoming season?
Definitely being able to dunk because that's always something to do, like in game. But also I think just like working on my outside shooting area, I want to be able to just go out to the 3 point line and be a threat there. And then also just work on like my handling with the ball and being able to help bring the ball up the court. I mean, I think those are two things that I could always work on. And then obviously there's always something you can improve on depending on if it's something you're good at or something that just needs to be worked on. So, yeah.
I might have misspoken about that last question because what you said
Oh,
just brought up another thing that I thought about. In the trends of modern basketball, we obviously have seen a lot of post players on the men's and women's side of the game trying to develop and evolve their game to be more well rounded. You know, like not just sitting in the post, not
yeah.
just trying to take up space, but having a lot of offensive skill sets, like you mentioned, handling the ball, being able to have an outside shot. Is that something that you see as being desired at the next level, or is that something that like your parents have talked to you about, or is that just kind of internal? I want to have those skill sets.
I mean, it's definitely something that I want to just be able to do because I mean, I get beat up in the post a lot and I had games where I'd work on like the outside area and it's just like it gives you a little bit of a break sometimes from being pushed and shoved on. But I mean, I think it would be great to be a threat outside and on the inside and stuff. So, I mean, it's definitely something that I want to work on myself and then also from my coaches and my parents too. So,
Well, we've already seen what you can do in the post and on the inside. So thinking about adding that outside aspect is scary for a lot of opponents that you're playing against. And we'll be looking forward to this season coming up and all the good stuff that you have in your future. And want to thank you for joining us on the podcast. Did you have any closing thoughts that you wanted to add?
no, no, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the upcoming season.
All right. Sounds good.